Hey everyone, this is Steven here, back at it again with another video. In today's video, I plan on doing a brief market overview of the basketball, baseball, and football sports card market, as well as going over some of the cards that I'm currently buying, selling, and holding. But before we get into that, if you enjoy this type of content and would like to see more in the future, please feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe. I did want to briefly touch on the current status of the sports card market. So I do want to look at the basketball card market, football, and also the baseball card market. And how I did this is I am using the Market Movers app, and I sampled about 5 to 10 of the most popular players in each sport. So I do realize that this is a small sample size and it's not going to dictate the overall market, but I do feel that if I pick the most popular players, it should be some sort of indication of how the markets are trending. I do realize that there are going to be some anomalies, some players that are going to be performing a lot better or a lot worse than these 5 players, but I do think that this is kind of a broad sample size that could show potentially how the markets are going. And my intentions with this is not to provide any guidance on what cards to buy. I'm merely showing some of the stats and the data that I look at when I'm determining whether I should buy a card or sell a card. So we'll start off with the basketball card market here, and the player I picked first is Luka Doncic, and his PSA 9 Prism base looks like it peaked in August of last year, and that was when they were making the run in the playoffs. And then we saw a dip once the season ended, and it kind of went up a little bit once the season started, but ever since then, his card has been trending downward for about 4 months now. So we are seeing some softness and some weakness in Luka cards, which kind of goes to show that some of the current players right now could be seeing some weakness and softness in the current market. The next player I picked is Steph Curry. So his cards have been trending upwards for quite some time. Looks like it peaked here in about March, and that was after his month-long stretch where he was scoring over 30 points a game. So a pretty historic stretch there. But ever since then, his cards have been trending downward. So we are seeing some softness in even Steph Curry's cards. The next player I picked is LeBron James. And again, his cards went up during last year's playoffs, and then it's been trending downwards, even though they won the championship. And then we did see a peak in about February, and that was when he was making his run for another MVP. However, he did roll his ankle and has been out for quite some time, so his cards have been trending downward pretty significantly. So if you're interested in LeBron James cards, this could potentially be a decent buying opportunity, as his cards look pretty low right now and have been trending downward for quite some time now. But again, the overall trend, it looks like we're seeing a lot of softness in the basketball card market. The next player I picked, and now I'm switching over to some of the older, retired, more established players. So this is Shaquille O'Neal, and the card is 1992 Topps Gold. And as you can see, his cards peaked in February, and that was kind of when the junk wax era cards had that big boom, and that was around the February timeframe of this year. But ever since then, his cards have been straight down. So his cards went from about $1,130 down to about $400, and this is for a PSA 9 of his gold Topps rookie card. So we've seen a huge decrease in the price from the peak for Shaq. So again, it looks like the overall trend for the basketball market is we're seeing a lot of softness so far over the last couple months. And the next player is another well-established. This is probably one of the greatest players of all time. A lot of people do say he is the GOAT. However, his cards, they peaked again in February during the junk wax era boom. But ever since then, his cards, as you can see, they've been trending straight down, similar to the Shaq cards. So again, it looks like the vintage or older players, their card market has softened pretty significantly. So some of the trends that I'm seeing as of right now is the current players are seeing some softness. However, if you have high conviction players that you have a feeling that they're going to do very well in the playoffs, I think right now could potentially present a good buying opportunity, assuming that they do well during the playoffs, and then they should see the initial bump as they perform pretty well in the playoffs. That's what we saw last year. And with the vintage card market, it looks like there's a lot of softness, a lot of red essentially for the vintage cards. These cards have gone basically straight down for the past couple months. We could see some downward trends in the future. However, I do think that this is a good buying opportunity for some of these vintage players. I've actually been buying some of these Shaq cards, and that's what we'll go over once we go over this market update. But I do think that some of these vintage cards are presenting some pretty good buying opportunities as of right now. I did want to switch gears over to the football card market, so the NFL card market. And one thing to note is typically how this card market normally works is during the off season, which is right now, these cards typically trend downward or just hold flat until around the August timeframe. Once the season, there's a lot of hype for the actual season. So that's when we normally see an increase in prices, is around the start of the season. So typically these cards are going to be trending downwards or a little flat just because this is an off season and there's not a lot going on. But in the past, we have seen a spike closer to the start of the season. So let's just see how the cards are currently holding up as of right now. So we'll start off with Patrick Mahomes, and it looks like his cards have been trending pretty much upward for the past year. There has been a little bit of softness here over the last month or so. It looks like this low sell here is more of an anomaly, but again, his cards are still trending upwards with a little bit of softness here. The next player I picked is Josh Allen, and this is his 2018 Prism Base rookie card. And again, it looks like we saw a low point once they got knocked out of the playoffs, and around the December time frame, his cards started going up again. So his cards are still trending upward. It does look like they've flatlined a little bit here. So we're not really seeing the decline that we normally see during the off seasons. But another player we want to look at today is the GOAT, so Tom Brady, and this is his 2000 Bowman Chrome Base in a PSA 9. And it looks like this one peaked in about February. You know, they did win another Super Bowl, but his cards ever since then looks like they've been declining and kind of flatlining a little bit. Tom Brady does have another chance at winning another Super Bowl this year, and he's going to go down as the greatest football player of all time. Still, currently, his cards do look like they have dipped a little bit here, and I think a lot of that is just due to the fact that they went up too high too fast. So I think they're just cooling off a little bit until they make their next run. The next card is Sam Darnold, and I didn't put this on here as a joke. This is a card that I currently have, so I just kind of wanted to track how this card is doing. It does look like his cards were pretty low here around the December timeframe, and then he did get traded to the Panthers. And ever since then, it looks like his cards have trended upward. But ever since, it looks like last month, his cards have been trending downward a little bit. So again, this card is seeing a little bit of softness as of right now. And then the next player is Kyler Murray, so another fan favorite for the Arizona Cardinals. And this is his 2019 Prism Base, and it looks like his cards peaked around the September timeframe last year and have been trending downwards. So a lot of softness for the Kyler Murray rookie card here, it looks like, during the offseason. But they have flatlined, it looks like around the $150 mark for a PSA 9 Prism Base of Kyler Murray. And then the next card is Lamar Jackson, and wow, this card has really gone down quite a lot. So it peaked here in August at about $660, and now currently this card is trading at between $160 and $140. So this card has gone down significantly since last August. So if you are a big believer in Lamar Jackson and have a lot of conviction in him, it does look like that this is a decent time to be buying his cards. I do understand that he's a running quarterback, so there's more of a risk for injuries with Lamar, but still, this does look like it's a pretty decent buying opportunity just based off of the fact that it's so far down from its peak. And again, for these cards, the trend kind of is that the cards right now should be declining a little bit or flatlining, and the next rise in these cards typically in the past come around August timeframe once the season starts firing up and people get more excited about the actual season. And last but not least, I did want to touch on the baseball card market. So we'll start off with Ronald Acuna Jr., and this is his 2018 Topps Update US 250. So this is his flagship rookie, not his bat down. But it does look like since December or the end of last year, his cards hit the bottom. And then ever since then, they have been steadily going up. So I think that's a combination of the excitement towards the beginning of the baseball season, as well as the tremendous year he's had so far. The next player is Mookie Betts. So we're seeing the same theme here, that around the December timeframe, his cards kind of bottomed, and then they have been creeping up ever since. They have peaked, it looks like, the beginning of last month, and they've been going down steadily since then. It does look like we are seeing some softness in Mookie Betts cards. A lot of that is just driven by the fact that he hasn't had the best start to the season. However, he is one of the greatest players currently playing, so he could pretty easily flip the switch moving forward. The next player is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So again, his cards ever since about December, they've just been going steadily up and up. So he has seen a lot of price appreciation. He lost about 30 to 40 pounds going into spring training, and he's had a tremendous start to the season. A couple games ago, he ended up hitting 3 home runs in 1 game, so his cards have seen quite a bit of price appreciation just based on the season he's having. And then the next player is Mike Trout, and similar story. His cards started upticking in December, and it looks like they peaked in about last month, and they've been declining and seeing some softness ever since then. This is interesting because he's one of the greatest players of all time, and he's having a great year. So it is a little interesting to see the softness in his cards currently. If these keep trending down a little more, I would be pretty comfortable in picking up some of his cards, as I do think he's going to be one of the best players of all time once his career is over, and he does seem like a really good dude. The next player is Shohei Ohtani, and his cards have steadily been skyrocketing up ever since the start of the season. He's had a very good year so far. He's exceeding all expectations, and his cards have been reflecting that with the significant price appreciation that we're seeing. And then the next player I picked is Juan Soto, another fan favorite. Looks like following the same trends, his cards started steadily going up around the December timeframe. It looks like they peaked in beginning of last month, it looks like, and they've been steadily going down ever since then. He did recently just have an injury, so he's been out for a couple games, so that probably has a lot to do with it. So he is seeing some softness in his cards, but it does look like the baseball card market, it looks like it's still trending upwards. And again, I'm just picking a small sample size, but it does look like overall most of the cards are trending upward with a little bit of softness, maybe due to the fact that the hype for the beginning of the baseball season is kind of dying down, so there's not as much hype. But overall, it looks like the trends are that the baseball card market is still holding pretty strong, and we are seeing some softness in the football card market, and we're seeing a lot of weakness in the basketball card market. So that's just my takeaways of the current market conditions. Please let me know down in the comments if you find this helpful, as well as some of your thoughts on the current market conditions. So now we can get into the fun part and actually looking at some of the cards that I plan on buying, selling, as well as holding. So after looking at the market analysis, the football card market does look like it is in a slight decline, but also kind of plateauing and a little softness there, kind of waiting for the uptick for the NFL season to start. So as far as the NFL card market, I'm currently just holding my NFL cards. So I do have Sam Darnold, a couple of Carson Wentz cards, some more Sams over here. So I do plan on just holding these for the next couple months, and then I'll probably sell most of them around the start of the football season. Traditionally in the past, the NFL card market tends to spike around the beginning of the football season. That's just due to the hype and all the anticipation around the start of the season. So I do plan on selling most of these. I might hold on to this Carson Wentz because I do think he has some long-term potential and some growth ahead of him, as the Colts do seem like a good fit for him. But I will probably be getting rid of the Sam Darnolds and some of these other Carson Wentz cards once the football season starts around the August timeframe. And then I do have a Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes rookie card. So this Josh Allen, I do plan on holding now, but I also plan on selling this around the beginning of the football season. For me, the risk to reward on this card just isn't there. He had one of the best seasons of all time for him last year. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that up. And so far his cards are still kind of holding flat. So the risk to reward just isn't there for me. So I think I am going to hold this card until the beginning of the season and then sell it around then. And this Patrick Mahomes card, I do plan on just holding probably for the rest of my life, as I do think that he's one of the best young players I've ever seen. And I think that he still has a very bright future ahead of him. So great player there. I don't think I'll ever sell that card. So those are the cards I'm holding. Now we can go over some of the cards I'm selling. So to start off with, some of the cards I'm selling would be these Ronald Acuna Jr. and Juan Soto Topps Update rookie cards. So as you saw in the market analysis, baseball cards are trending higher. So it's a pretty hot market right now. And these Juan Soto and Acuna cards are still at pretty high points. So I feel pretty comfortable selling these. I picked these up a couple years back for, I want to say, around $10 each. I can put a screenshot of some of the purchases, but I want to say I was getting these for around $8 to $15 depending on the buy. So I do feel pretty comfortable selling these. These are currently going for around between $50 and $100 depending on the condition of the cards. So I think I'm going to sell a couple of these, and the main reasons for this, and it's nothing to do with my thoughts on these players and these cards over the long term. It's just more to the fact that I want to take a little bit of risk off the table and use that money to buy better investments, in my opinion. So I still have a lot of exposure in Ronald Acuna Jr., I have a lot of his other rookie cards out of 99, his Chrome, his Bat Down rookie card. So I still have a lot of exposure to Acuna Jr. and also have that one back there. And then same with Soto. So for me, it's more just the fact that I'm just taking some risk off the table, and I want to use the earnings on those cards, on these base rookie cards here. And these also have a pretty high print run. So these print runs, according to the PSA population reports, are extremely high. So I do want to just use this money that I get from these cards to, buy cards that I think are more appropriately valued as of right now. And another card I'm going to be selling is this 2015 Topps Kris Bryant, and this is this rookie card in a PSA 10. And this is a card I've had for a couple years now. I want to say I got this for $20 some. I'm not sure what it's going for now. I'm sure it's more than that, just with the nature of the baseball card market right now. But this is a card, I don't even remember why I bought this, and it was just sitting in my closet. I just found it recently. I don't really have an interest in Kris Bryant or his cards, so I think that this is a card that I'm just gonna sell and just take that money and buy something that I'm more interested in. Card here is this Mookie Betts, and this is his 2014 Topps Update rookie card. And again, this has nothing to do with Mookie Betts as a player or his performance long term. This is more of the fact that I'm just taking some risk off the table. So I bought this card for around $40. This is currently going for around $200 to $250 depending on the condition. And again, this is nothing to do with his performance. Well, I still have other exposure to Mookie Betts. I have this same card in a PSA 10, and then I also have the gold version of this in a PSA 9. I can't find that one, but it's somewhere in my apartment. So I'm going to hold on to my higher end Mookie Betts cards, but I am going to try to make some money on this card and use that money for some other investments. Those are the cards that I'll be selling. So some of the cards that I'll be buying, as you saw in the market analysis, the NBA card market was trending pretty downward significantly. So I did purchase this 1992 Topps Gold Shaquille O'Neal, and this is his gold rookie card there. So I picked this one up for, I want to say, around $150. And just by looking at some of the charts, the NBA market was just really soft and on the decline. And I just thought, for me, I was pretty comfortable picking a Hall of Famer Shaq card for around $150 in a PSA 8, and this is his gold variation. So I do plan on taking some of the earnings that I make from my other sales and buying more basketball. I'm not quite sure yet if it's going to be more vintage players. I do have another Shaq on the way, but I also do think that some of the current players right now do present some decent buying opportunities. Some of the players that I would be targeting would be Donovan Mitchell. I think that his cards are pretty undervalued, but that's just my personal opinion. But other than that, I do think that I will purchase probably more vintage basketball cards if the market trends continue to spiral downwards. These are some of the cards that I'm currently buying. And again, I plan on using some of the sales for my baseball cards and buying some more vintage basketball. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the cards that I'm currently buying, selling, and holding. But if you did, please feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe. Thanks, and have a good day. Bye.